let's switch gear to the carbon footprint and the travel paradox. So this is usually the elephant in the room, right? Scope 3 emission. Chicago being one of the world's largest marathon and world marathon majors, it's a lot of people's bucket list that they want to run. So you fly in people from, I think, 100 plus countries or some maybe more. That's a massive carbon spike. Now, how do you reconcile the international bucket list nature of the race with your goals, like for the carbon goals or sustainability goals? Because it's a very tough balance, right?
Yeah, we definitely have to factor that in.
Yeah.
A huge part of our emissions. It's over 95, it's probably 98% of our emissions from our events are from the travel footprint of our participants. I want to say we're in the neighborhood of 34,000 metric tons of CO2 emissions for
I see.
participant travel, and everything else is in the single or double digits. Yeah, so it is a big number. We the Bank of America Chicago Marathon signed on to the UN Sports for Climate Action Framework.
Yeah. Okay.
And since that time, the developed goals, one of them being by 2030, reducing our emissions by 50%. We're committed to doing that.
Welcome back, everyone, to What Runs Around podcast and to a special series on sustainability in 26.2. We talk a lot about PRs and carbon plating, but today we are talking about a different kind of performance, the environment kind. When 50,000 plus runners descend on Chicago, they leave behind more than just sweat. They leave a massive footprint. Joining us is the woman who ensures that the Chicago Marathon leaves the city better than she found it. She's the sustainability manager at Chicago Event Management, the compost queen herself, Kat Morris. Kat, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me.
So you see 50,000 sets of footprints where most of us, we see just runners, right? So how does one become the sustainability lead for one of the world's biggest marathons in the world? Was there a specific light bulb moment for you that you chose this path?
The path came to me. I didn't.
All right.
I ran the Chicago Marathon back in 2000. It was actually the last marathon I ran. I would say what happened, I had a conversation with the COO of Chicago Event Management, the company that produces the marathon. And he said he needed a little help at the marathon in 2015 and asked if I could help out with some of the sustainability efforts at that time. And that's how I got involved. I had a 200-hour contract the first year just to help out with the marathon. And since that time, it's got a lot bigger. The sustainability initiatives launched a lot of different sustainability initiatives over the years. And yeah, it's been a lot of challenges, but a lot of successes as well.
Cool. Do you want to highlight a couple of the key initiatives that you have led over the years? Or I think it transitioned to at some point at net zero goal, I would guess, since you probably took on this role or in between.
I think probably the biggest initiative, at least it seemed like at the time, was in taking the 2 million cups that we use on course and making sure they were compostable and then raking them up, bagging them, and composting them.
I see.
That would probably be the biggest thing that we instituted as far as just large scale. We composted not just the cups. So first we had to make sure the cups were all BPI certified, and we partnered with Gatorade, who first introduced they introduced a new compostable cup back in 2019, and we partnered with them and used the same company that produced their cup to produce our branded cup and to use them across the events. Instead of having them individually branded for specific events, we have them branded Bank of America so that we can use them across our events. That was a change too. Instead of having overages and on some cups and maybe not enough cups for another race, we're able to better utilize the cups that we had. And then just the process of finding a composting company in the Chicago area that would accept 2 million cups, which was a challenge because people we're not convinced that we could rake them up and keep the contamination out. But by working with all the aid station captains and with all the volunteers, we're able to break those up with minimal contamination. And then, of course, we throw in gosh, how many banana peels on course that we serve, because we do serve bananas
Yeah.
at 3 or 4 aid stations. So making sure we collect those banana peels. And then, of course, we also serve apples back at the finish line as well as bananas. So really gathering all that compost and then delivering it to a location, to a composting company that can break that down.
Hmm.
Springtime, what we do, we take that finished compost and donate
Hmm.
to community gardens that are impacted by our events.
And I believe you call it cups to soil program, or I don't know what, is there an official
Yeah, we
term
call it.
for that? Okay.
Well, to me, it's a bit of a misnomer because it's so much more than cups.
Cups, right, right, right. Yeah, you're so true. You got close to 28 station, I believe, during the marathon course. And if I'm looking at from an outsider or the spectator, it looked like a Gatorade colored blizzard after first wave, probably a couple of waves passes through them. So you take the cups, the banana peels, or whatever kind of perishable or mostly perishable stuff that you probably recycle to make to a soil, and then it goes to, you mentioned the playgrounds or some other areas in the city itself.
Yeah, so we actually reach out to community gardens alongside a lot of communities that we impact. For example, at our Bank of America Chicago 13.1
Hmm.
runs through 3 parks on the west side of Chicago. So we work to find community gardens that are impacted by by our event, and then donate the soil to those gardens. Yeah, so in the springtime, we're out there and we're helping and spread the soil onto their garden beds so they can grow more nutritious plants.
Nice. So the CEM does it for them. Pretty much you're spraying the.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
We work with the compost company on making those deliveries, and then
Okay.
we try to get a couple volunteers out there to help out.
And I see that Chicago has 83% waste diversion rate, right? Which is 17% of the total waste hits the landfill. And I believe, is this the only program that supports that waste diversion, or there are more initiatives that encompasses?
So we have other initiatives, things like all the wrappers. If you think of all the
Okay.
gel wrappers on course,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and we are starting to put out bins to try to collect those. It's people kind of discard them wherever they happen to take in their gels. So we
Right.
do at the locations where we pass out the gels, we do make an effort to collect those gel wrappers,
Hmm.
I should say. And those are all shipped to TerraCycle. TerraCycle is a company that specializes in recycling hard to recycle waste. So they take those and make them into other types of like a hard plastic.
Wow.
Yeah, so we do that. So there's all the gels on course, and then we also work with a TerraCycle for our snack and we use our snack and candy wrapper collections at the finish line.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the wrappers of some of the packaged goods that we have, we do collect those at our zero waste stations, and then again we ship those to TerraCycle as well.
I see. I see. Kat, I'm just curious. I don't know how long the partnership with TerraCycle is. Have you seen that? I'm talking about from the product side of things, like all the gels or the goods that are there. It has evolved that you are able to easily recyclable, because I know I always find it struggling, right? I always run with gels.
Mhm.
And I do not know whether it's recyclable or not. Maybe I should pay more attention at the level. But have you seen that evolve, that it is easier to recycle today than maybe it was 5 years ago?
I guess I don't really see that it's been easier. I know TerraCycle, we've been using them for our gel wrapper collections dating back to when I started.
I see.
So
I see.
that's been in place for a while. I think taking that next step and collecting the packaged wrappers from
Yeah.
finish line. I mean, those are some new initiatives that we've had. Try to collect those. And then we also collect the other things that we do collect that we recycle through Trex. Trex has a recycling program that accepts our heat sheets. And heat sheets actually it's called blankets to boards. So the blankets are actually made into Trex decking boards. So we collect the heat sheets, as well as if you think of all the pallets of
Yeah,
materials like the water, the product, everything at the finish line, we collect all that stretch wrap and we include
I see.
that with our heat sheets. So we collect all of that and get that all recycled, where a lot of times that would just end up in the trash.
I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And a hit sheet, I can definitely see, why you want to do that. Because I know I've got one and I still have it from Chicago Marathon that I hold on to it. It's kind of as a little treasure for me and for a lot of runners, I would guess.
What's kind of cool is at like, the start line, we do see some people bringing those heat sheets back, and they use a heat sheet from a prior year, or from a lot of times from different races, and
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
able to collect those, and then we have to. And then some people bring mylar, which is another type of warming blanket, but it is not recyclable. So then we
I see.
separate those from the start line. But yeah.
You talked about sorting of different things. I think you should talk about the Green Team volunteers. I think you have a program where people can volunteer to help you to sort through the trash so that runners don't have to.
Yeah, so well, yeah, because you run 26.2 miles and they were asking you to walk a little bit further, just a little bit further to uh,
Yeah, yeah.
your items and then get back to your participant bags. And so yeah, we have over 120 volunteers that are just specifically called Green Team volunteers, and we have them stationed all along the finish line. Von Steuben is a local high school, and they've been bringing their green team to our finish line since 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, so they have a very strong environmental club. So we reached out. Schools are great to work with, university, and just bring in volunteer groups to help us in our collection efforts. And then we have a staff of over 30 volunteers, our key volunteers and event staff that help oversee all those collection efforts. And
I see.
now, gosh, how many do we have now? Over 12 zero waste stations. We actually have tents. So we encourage people, just instead of having to make a decision, they just
Yeah,
place their waste onto the tables, and then our volunteers are behind there and they sort all the waste for them. Of course, we try to communicate what we're doing and why we're doing it. Maybe when they're not so tired, they have a better idea of some of the different streams that they can, when they walk away, when they go home, they can know how to recycle their materials as well.
that's nice. Have you seen over the years any runners actually volunteer? I'll be curious. You do? Okay, okay. That's good to know. That's good to know. As you're talking about the finish line, I don't know if you want to mention about the Colligan partnership
Mhm.
that you have.
Was very excited. Yes. Culligan, we partnered in 2024. They came in and they partnered with the Chicago Marathon
Hmm.
and the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
Yeah. So um, yeah, so we're very excited to have the Culligan partnership. They've been great partners and they've worked with us on our water refill stations as well.
Hmm.
They brought in some water refill stations, and now we're working with them on different ways of setting up and utilizing those refill stations in the park and in other areas.
That's great. So yeah, I used to get a lot of plastic bottles. It's great to see that there's initiative not to carry that the plastic bottles out of the oh yeah, here you go. I ran in 2022. I don't think I got that at that time, but yeah, I've seen. I think New York also started that now.
Mm,
A lot of other races too, because I
That's
think I've
great.
seen
I
that in
reuse
last year.
mine all the time. So
Oh, cool.
it's not just a prop sitting on my desk.
No, that's awesome. Let's switch gear to the carbon footprint and the travel paradox. So this is usually the elephant in the room, right? Scope 3 emission.
Mhm.
Chicago being one of the world's largest marathon and world marathon majors, it's a lot of people's bucket list that they want to run. So you fly in people from, I think, 100 plus countries or some maybe more. That's a massive carbon spike. Now, how do you reconcile the international bucket list nature of the race with your goals, like for the carbon goals or sustainability goals? Because it's a very tough balance, right?
Yeah, we definitely have to factor that in.
Yeah,
Uh, a huge part of our emissions. It's over 95, it's probably 98% of our emissions from our events are from the travel footprint of our participants.
I
It's a
see.
lot. Um, I want to say we're in the neighborhood of 34,000 metric tons of CO2 emissions for
I see.
participant travel, and everything else is in the single or double digits.
I see. I see.
Yeah. So it is a big number, but I mean, obviously, we value every participant that comes to our events. The international travel brings a lot of opportunities to Chicago businesses as well.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone that comes here obviously contributes to the Chicago economy. We do publish an economic impact report.
Hmm.
It's all a balance, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So we do encourage people to use the CTA, the Chicago Transit System,
I see.
and work with the Chicago Transit System. They actually add extra lines, Metra, the commuter system from the suburbs. They add extra lines to make sure that they can transport all the people from the airport or from the suburbs to the marathon start line. We work very closely with those partners to make sure that we can get people here as sustainable as possible and not having everybody try to drive or use to into the city as well.
That's great. There are the initiatives for carbon offset. I know this is a massive footprint, as you mentioned, right? Over 95%. Are there other initiatives that at Chicago Marathon that you are taking on
Yeah,
to
so
offset?
we in 2019 we the Bank of America Chicago Marathon signed on to the UN Sports for Climate Action Framework.
Yeah. Okay.
And since that time, the developed goals, one of them being by 2030, reducing our emissions by 50%. We're committed to doing that. We've reduced our emissions for the marathon by, we actually reduced our fuel use by 30% or 60%, the diesel fuel use at the marathon, because we're reliant on generators for
Yeah.
our, to produce our entire event because we're all outside.
Right.
Section of the expo. So working with our partners, working with Sunbelt to provide battery energy storage systems and like hybrid generators on site, and we're
I
able to
see.
reduce our use of diesel fuel by over 60% at the marathon last year. So those types of
Nice.
initiatives are really helping us get to those reductions on our scope 1 and our scope 2, but yeah, our scope 3 participant travel. So we in 2025 we partnered with the Land Conservancy in McHenry County to reduce our climate
Hmm.
impact for all
I see.
the Chicago Distance Series events. And what that is, we're investing in local forest preservation through
Hmm.
the purchase of carbon credits.
I
So
see.
we're supporting 2 of their preservation projects in the McHenry County, which is part of the metropolitan area of Chicago.
I see.
So
I
yeah,
see.
we're making and supporting those efforts. In 2025, we were able to reduce our participant emissions by 25%. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so we're
okay.
very excited
So
about that, and we'll continue to work on that to get to that 50% by 2030.
nice. That's good to know. And I believe you also have EV vehicles as the lead vehicles or the vehicles used in the event.
Yeah, we've been using. We work with Kia,
Okay.
our partner, and they supply the electric vehicles. Then some of our don't remember what they're called, but they're some of the other camera vehicles on course are also EV. So we are seeing the switch to EV. We have a partner that for transportation. So any transport we need to transport participants on course. Many of those buses are now electric vehicles as well. Those would be participants that need help getting back to the finish line.
Hmm.
So we do have it's called our runner transport system.
I
So
see.
some of
I see.
those buses are electric now. So we are working with partners that are able to help us support our initiatives as well.
Nice. I don't know. Does a lot of folks take the transport to the start line
No, this is
options?
actually like if you're injured on course, we're
Okay.
able
Okay.
to transport you. So that's just all part of our runner transport system.
I
We
got
use
it.
it
Okay.
to transport our medical staff out to the different medical tents out on course as well.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, one of the areas when I was chatting with Kate Chapman of London, she mentioned about one of the things that they consider offsetting the carbon footprint, especially people who are traveling overseas, is the carbon levy, right? So they put on, I think, 26 pound for London Marathon.
Right.
Is Chicago considering something like that, or is it already in place?
We do not currently charge. No, we don't charge a levy or any fee for that.
I see. I see. Because and I think the another part is that opt in or opt out. No, not opt in. Opt out of the swags. Is that also a consideration in Chicago Marathon?
We've considered it and we're looking at it.
Okay.
A lot of it has to do with just ordering timeframes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. If I'm running and Chicago being the bucket list, and that's how I'll be curious. If we have that option, how many people would have actually chosen that option? Because I do wear, like yesterday evening, I was in the gym. I was wearing my Chicago t-shirt and running in the gym. So 2022 it's almost 4 years. I'm holding it to it still. It would be curious to see how people actually choose it. Yeah. If I'm running Chicago for like 10, 15 years, maybe I'll not.
Mhm.
I say I don't need another one swag, but yeah, I'm curious how the numbers looks like if you give that option to folks. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that. So I've heard that the events that do offer that,
Yeah.
it's not been. But then, of course, it also is as events producers, as we continue to offer these options, that I think you get additional buy-in each year.
Yeah.
There is that to look at as well.
Yeah. But it also, as you pointed out, a logistical challenge because you have event of this scale, you need to prep for months and months in advance. So like if you're giving that option and if you expect that it's coming in towards the end of cycle, maybe in a couple of months, still it's a logistical challenge. How do you honor those choices? Yeah, it would be interesting as it's a problem when you do offer that.
Yeah, so like one of the things we do, like for our metals,
Yeah.
I think most people want their metals, and so we don't have an opt out of that, but we have taken measures to make sure that the ribbons are 100% recycled PET, the metals themselves are 100% recycled zinc alloy. We made a
Hmm.
switch back in 2024.
I see.
So those are things that we can do that reduces our impact because we're reducing our emissions by doing that.
I see. I see. Moving on to another topic on the social side of the sustainability initiatives, I think this is the byproduct of all the great work you are doing at CEM, CAT. So to me, I think I'm looking at the number that is publicly available. Chicago Marathon runs through 77 neighborhoods, I believe, in the city. And that's a lot of areas you need to manage to make sure that, you live it as you found it, right?
Mhm.
From a numbers point of view, I think I see that 12,000 pounds of food are the leftover recovery, and more than 50,000 pounds of discarded clothing. And then from an economic impact on these neighborhoods, you're talking about, I think this is published number, 683 million injected into the local economy. I mean, it's just a huge feat to balance out. And I don't know, what's your take on there, your role and that you play?
Well, nothing makes me happier than to be able to give food away. So
That's good. Great.
now, food waste has always been a big passion of mine. So we have the food recovery systems in place, not only for the event itself. So all the finish line product, Greater Chicago Food Depository comes in and with their trucks, and we load those up right after the finishers have passed the finish line. So we do take care and make sure we get that product because you never want to run out of product at the finish line. Like, sorry, this is the last banana, you can't have it,
Yeah.
So yeah, we always make sure that we have enough food and would rather have excess and being able to donate that because that does go to all the local food pantries throughout Chicago. The Greater Chicago Food Depository being the largest food bank in Chicago, and then they distribute it through their networks. We also work on food recovery for all the event staff meals that we feed. So if you think about it, we've got hundreds of people setting up for the marathon in the days leading up to the event. And we feed those people. We feed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Any leftovers, remaining food from those events, we
Mhm.
make sure that all that food gets distributed again, it's usually me because it's my passion, but I make sure it's all packaged and then I take it to a local, like the Bite to Feed is one of the ones I use, Pacific Garden Missions, another one that will accept donated food, and it's all very close to the event. So I'm able to just drop it off and work with the local organizations that make sure that people that need food get fed.
Nice. That's great to know. This is a definitely great initiative, making sure in every aspect of it, taking care of to benefit the neighborhoods or the society. The folks people who are volunteering is actually being benefited. I know the scale of volunteering in these events can be massive. To make sure that those people are there to volunteer, but the food is taken care of. That's a great feeling for sure.
And there's something else just on that whole note, because we also feed for our volunteers on course that are at the aid stations that have really long shifts. We
Yeah,
work
yeah.
with the local businesses in the neighborhood. So
Okay.
criteria, local, and as well as some other criteria on selecting our restaurants. And then we actually purchase the food and then make sure that our volunteers are fed because they can't get away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because they have to be there, or they're there because that's what they signed up for. Yeah.
So
That's great.
we work closely with local restaurants to make sure that they get that as well.
That's great. It's good to know. Now let's move to a topic called what I can do as a runner, like the sustainable side. So someone who was listening to this conversation got inspired. Like, okay, Chicago event management or the management is doing so much to make sure that the race is sustainable. What would be your tips to person who say, hey, what can I do as a sustainable runner? What what would be your couple of tips to someone like me? Say, hey, you want to run Chicago? This is your part you should be doing.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'd like to see more of is people carrying their own hydration um, flask, whether it be a handheld or on a belt or however you want to carry it. There's a hydration vest that has pockets in the front for bottles, something like that. That's the way I used to train when I was training for marathons. And also knowing where the local water fountains are. Yeah. So to me, if you can bring your own hydration, then you're eliminating us providing the cups, and then I mean, it's great that we're using compostable cups and they all get composted, but that's just a
Yeah,
material that we're using. So if some of that can be replaced by using our hydration, because we do offer refill stations on course,
I see.
and actually saw quite a number of people at the start line hydration in Grant Park
Hmm.
coming with their reusable bottles and using those. So we were filling up the reusable bottles either through the water filling stations that are located right by the start hydration. So people can be less dependent upon having to stand in line to get a cup and
Right.
go fill out.
That's a great tip
I like that.
for sure.
I think giving careful consideration to the clothing that you bring to the event.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
If it's look at the temperatures, how long are you really gonna be outside at the start
Hmm.
line? And I'm talking about the start line clothing. It's
Yeah.
over a pound a person of clothing that's dropped at our start line. So, is that something that you can leave at gear check? Is that something that you need? Can you use and instead of going out and buying a brand new piece of merchandise, contributing to fast fashion, is it something
Hmm.
that you already have in your wardrobe that you're looking to that you're willing to donate, knowing that we
Right.
collect all the clothing and donate it? Or
Hmm.
can you go pick up something at your local thrift store if there's nothing in your wardrobe that you want to give up? So those are just my tips for making our clothing collection a little bit more sustainable.
Right.
Just yeah.
And especially not good those the thermal or the warm blanket that you cannot recycle. I think you mentioned that earlier that some of them are not recyclable, right?
And we're happy
Especially
to
the
like if
ones.
you bring those, we're happy to sort
Yeah.
through those. We do that every as
Yeah.
well. So
Cool. Is there an initiative related to plugging at Chicago Marathon? I know I was talking to Ali at New York City. I think they have a plugging event. Is something there at Chicago as well?
we do. We introduced plugging in 2024 at the Chicago Marathon. We
Oh, okay.
host it the day after the marathon because that's Indigenous Peoples Day. So a lot of people have that Monday off.
Okay.
So we host it on the day following. It's at 9 o'clock in the morning. And what's nice
I
about
see.
that is we're not asking people to go run another marathon. Whatever pace that you're able to manage. And the course
Yeah.
itself is K, which is 1.86 miles.
Hmm.
Sometimes we've had it now 2 years in a row. And we
I see.
also offer it now at all of the distance series events. So then
Nice.
Shamrock Shuffle and Chicago 13.1. Yeah, it's great. I mean, because really what I see it as, it's kind of a way that people can give back to the city of Chicago. Because we're opening they're opening the doors for us to take over the city for that weekend, and then just
Yeah.
kind of give back to the city that gives so much to us. And then it's also, I
Hmm.
think it is by participating in it, it's something like once you do it, you're like, oh, this is great. You're thinking, oh, I'm picking up trash, but really we have little grabbers that you can use, or and of course provide gloves, and we don't ask you to pick up anything that would be dangerous to pick up, like broken glass. Yeah, just going through and helping, just keep Chicago beautiful, but keeping your neighborhood beautiful. That's something that anyone can take back to their
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
communities and
Right.
work with someone to set up their own local plogging events.
Yeah.
They add it to one of if they're in a run club, maybe they add it, once a month or once every other month to what they're doing as a run club. It's just a way to really show and just care for the environment that you're running through.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Have you seen the participation? I don't know if you want to share anything that you have seen. It's growing, and there are a lot of people are interested in that event.
Yeah, so first year we had it, 2024, we had 12 participants, and last year
Okay.
we had 40.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
yes, we
And it is day after the race. So yeah, it is interesting to see, people actually recovering, especially the runners. Like I'm sure anyone can volunteer for runners who are volunteering. It would be interesting to see and in growing awareness and actually participate there.
Yeah,
That's great.
it was I remember the first year there was someone there that was very disappointed in her performance at the marathon, but I think by her coming out and joining us, she really felt like supported
I see.
because
Yeah.
she came to Chicago by herself and didn't have a big network of people supporting her. And I think even though we have lovely volunteers that were all, yeah, yay, you finished, I think having that additional support the next day was so key and
Nice.
important to her.
Yeah. Adds a lot of meaning to, as well, over the weekend for sure. All right, Kat. So we are almost at the finish line. I think I call it the rapid fire round. So it will be a couple of questions, and pull it related to your background and your expertise. Okay, first one: early morning run or late night waste audit?
Late night waste audit. I don't like to run early. I don't like to do anything early, so I'm not an early bird. I don't get the worm in the morning.
Most surprising thing you have found in a Chicago Marathon recycling bin?
There's so many things we find in the bins that don't belong. I can't say that I'm surprised by anything I find.
I see. I see. Anything particular that you want to share?
I find, people throw their dog waste, like their bags in there, like,
Really? Okay.
yeah, like I mean, there's everything in there. So there's a reason we wear gloves when we sort through it.
Makes sense. Make total sense. Next one: paper risk maps or digital apps?
Digital apps.
For sure. Favorite Chicago neighborhood to run through?
That's a tough one. There's so many great neighborhoods. My favorite place to run is just on the Chicago lakefront. It doesn't matter what neighborhood I'm in because it runs through so many different neighborhoods, but that would be my favorite place. And my second favorite place, because I have to name it, is the 606. It's a new trail. It's an old raised railroad bed that they've turned into like a nature trail that has a soft kind of cushiony rubber for the people that run, and then is also a cycling path as well. It's
606?
called the 606, and it's a mile from my house, so I can easily walk, jog there, and then run.
Oh, nice. Next one: post race snack, banana or protein bar? That should be easy one.
Banana.
One word to describe the smell of 50,000 pounds of discarded start line clothing.
Ooh, Is that a word?
I guess it is. Because I'm sure there's a ton of them comes to your mind. That's probably the obvious one.
That's the safest one I have. How about that?
All right. All right. Next one. A personal best time or a 90% waste diversion rate. Remember, you are already at 83%, so it's not a big stretch.
Well, I'm well past my personal best. Those happened many moons ago, so I will definitely go with the 90% waste diversion.
All right. The next one would be, do you see 100% zero waste world measure in our lifetime? Is it even realistic?
I think we'd have to, I guess, with some parameters, perhaps see that maybe in your lifetime, maybe not in mine. I'm hopeful that people that don't see climate as impacting them realize climate impacts everyone, our climate change
Yeah.
impacts everyone, and
Yeah.
that our collective effort and our collective actions do make a difference, whether we're making sure that we don't buy extra gear that we don't need, whether it's going to your local government and advocating that um, less plastic is thrown away or used, or whatever measures that people can do to incorporate environmental issues into their life.
Yeah.
I should say environmental action into their life.
So true. And, you talk about buying or be mindful on buying gears. Actually, I'm talking to Damian Hall next week, and I actually picked up his book, and I have become so conscious now in terms of the gears that how far you can take them, right? So it's interesting. I'm looking forward to have this conversation. His take, I think, obviously, is created and that activism point of view, but it's a learning and it's actionable learning for anyone in this space. I mean, it can be part of your life to not only running, related to running too, overall. But yeah, that's good to know, and thank you for sharing that. To close up, Chicago has reached the evergreen status. What is after that? Is there anything else after? Because that's it, that best you can achieve. I think Chicago is one of the few races that have ever achieved that status. What's next after that?
I really think it's just like, what else can we be doing? Because evergreen is just a number. It's not, there's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. I'd say that. And then the other thing, we are undergoing organizational certification.
So it's beyond maybe the big races that across all the events that CM puts together? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, Kat, thank you so much. Thanks for showing us that running a run also means preserving the path. To our listeners, next time you drop a cup, remember there is a massive team making sure that the cup becomes a garden in 12 months. So see you at the finish line. And thank you, Kat, so much for sharing everything or the great work you're doing at it.
Well, thank you so much for having me.